Hello. Welcome back. This is the Watch and Talk podcast. I'm your host, Ian, and we have some new things today. So far in our first 4 episodes, I've only really talked about the Pistons, and while that is something that's super fun to do and a team I love, I want to branch out there a little more and kind of just explore around the NBA this week. So I brought in a very special guest. His name is Caiden. Say hey.
Hello everyone.
And he is your expert on the Atlanta Hawks, and then we're also going to be diving into the football segment of things with the Atlanta Falcons and Detroit Lions. So, the segments today are going to be just kind of the Atlanta's Hawks start to the season, kind of how they're doing, how we feel about them right now. And then for the Falcons, they're just very interesting season throughout the entire thing. You started Kirk for the first 16 weeks, and then you bench him for Penix. Now they're virtually out of the playoffs unless somehow scorching hot Baker Mayfield falls to the Carolina Panthers. So a lot to talk about today, so let's just get straight into the news. So first off, I want to go with the let's talk about the Falcons, man, because they had a very interesting season in my opinion. You know, what were they, like 7-7? Kirk beats the Raiders like 15-10. Not really a good game by him, but then he gets benched for Penix, and Penix doesn't look too bad, but they lost last week against the Commanders, and now I don't think they make the playoffs.
I mean, I completely agree. I think, as I wrote in my notes right here, it's a miracle if we make the playoffs in general, because, I mean, the only possible scenario, and there's this website that I love, and it's like a calculator, and it shows the odds. The only possible way that they make the playoffs is if we win and the Saints lose. So you really just need Tampa Bay to lose that game against the Saints. And I feel like betting on someone else losing is never a good way to get you into the playoffs. So I have honestly already kind of chopped off my hopes of getting in the playoffs. And if we do, I think we're just automatically a first round exit. I haven't really looked at the bracket. I don't know who we'd play if we made it, but I feel like we're not a really complete team right now. Like as you said, Penix, he's played all right. I mean, I think he's definitely played, but I don't think that we're going to do anything in the playoffs, even if we do squeak in. But I really don't think.
By the way,
I think there might be a.
It'd be the Packers, Commanders, depending on who wins this week.
The Commanders beat us in OT. I don't know. I feel like we probably will still be a first round exit, but yeah, I think there's a very small chance we even make it. But if we do, I think we're just gone. I don't think we're a sound football team right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys definitely have weapons, man. Like, Bijan Robinson's a great running back.
He's great.
Down year, but he could be better. I still have hope for him. Drake London has been a stud of a wide receiver, but I'm really curious on your thoughts about your quarterback situation, man. Next season, do you want to see Kirk back out there another chance, or is it time for Penix to have the keys?
Well, my personal opinion all season has, I think probably around week 9 or 10, we should have benched Kirk and put in Penix, because, I mean, Kirk, obviously, he was playing really good at the start of the season, and he started cooling down, and I think that's when we put in Penix, and I think that's where we made our like the error that kind of costed us this season. I think Penix should have been in way earlier. I think he should have been in, like I'm saying, in these earlier weeks and getting him that experience. So then when we do put him in that game against the Commanders, he's already used to the NFL game. He understands what's going on. He has a read. Like I think that was kind of just a failure on the coaching staff of not putting him in soon. So yeah, to answer your question, I think we should just go with Penix next season.
Okay, I like that. My next question is, if you do go with Penix next season, I'm kind of curious, man. I watched the last 2 games that are both games that he's played in, and he looks at Drake London more than anyone else on this team, and it's not even close. Are you a little worried about that? Only he's looking for a star, or do you think that's just the first 2 games? He knows he's a reliable receiver. I mean, obviously, as you know, one of his 2 interceptions was a Kyle Pitts. Honestly, just lateral to the defense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he definitely doesn't look bad, but that does concern me, man. Like, Drake London has 20 targets from him in 2 weeks.
Yeah. I did kind of notice that watching. I didn't have any stats about it, but I honestly think that could just be a result of him getting thrown into the game instead of, kind of worked in there week by week. Because I mean, you think about it, you put someone that's never been in an NFL game into an NFL game, and they have one receiver that's better than the rest. They're probably going to throw at that receiver 9 times out of 10. So I do think that while we go through this offseason and then the starting weeks of next season, I think he will start branching out and hitting these, lesser known wide receivers, because we still do have a couple like pretty good wide receivers on our team that aren't, Drake London. And Bijan can still receive. I know he's a great running back, but I think he could be a target that Penix can look at. I think to fully answer your question, again, I keep on going to these like rambles, but to answer your question, I think that has been an issue and something that needs to be looked at, but I think it will be looked at by our staff.
No, I got you, man. I mean, this is honestly, I'd say, a very underrated receiving core. Kyle Pitts, again, hasn't had a great season, really had a lot of bad drops, but definitely could come back. Actually, I think he's just not used to the ball actually getting thrown to him, because last season it just didn't happen. I mean, Darnell Mooney, definitely a good receiver. Ray Ray Cloud he's okay. I think he's a good speedster. Cardale Hodge, who had that stint in the Giants before coming over to you guys. I mean, yeah, no, this definitely could be a team if Michael Penix takes a step in his sophomore season to really do some damage. But I do gotta ask, if you were to change one thing about this team right now, would you do? Like, let's just say you guys lose, you're out of the playoffs, so you have an entire season of work. What are you looking at them to do?
It's not the first thing it's not the most important thing. I'd have to think about that for a second, but I think our special teams really needs to be figured out a little bit better. I mean, we've been dealing with kickers all season. We I don't know how much you follow Falcons Twitter, but it's basically a meme on Twitter at this point. My boy Younghoe Koo, but he used to be such a great kicker. Like, I used to love watching him kick. He was a great kicker, and then they changed his form, and now he can't hit a field goal from 40 yards. So I think we just need to get that worked out. And then obviously he was injured last week, and there was this hilarious meme on Twitter. I don't know if you saw it, but this guy, they roll out the field goal unit, and he's like, "Let's go." And did you see the tweet? Yeah, it was hilarious. I found that so funny. But I do think we need to get that figured out a little bit. And honestly, you kind of touched on it, but I do think we need to get our receiving core a little bit more balanced, because like you said, we have a lot of versatile weapons on that offensive side, but I feel like we're really leaning on like Bijan trying to get a good run every now and then trying to hit London deep. I feel like if we just spread that out and then just spread it out, you know what I mean? Just get it to more receivers. I mean, let me just pull up the stats for this Washington game real quick. So, I mean, yeah, in that game you have Drake London with 106 receiving yards, but then Pitts has less than 50, Mooney has less than 40, McLeod has less than 30. Like, that's just an insane drop off, and I think it should probably be more in like everyone has 80, like in the 50 to 80 range, and just getting it to more people, because it gets really readable on offense when you're just throwing it to London or handing it off to Bijan. So I think yeah, just trying to focus on advancing more on the offensive side, receiver wise.
No, for sure. I want to look at the defense too. I mean, I feel like this defense is really underrated. You have Jesse Bates, Justin Simmons, AJ Terrell. I mean, I don't really know what happened. Like, a lot of the games were just lost, in my opinion, by Kirk's offense. I don't know if you agree with me or not, but yeah, I mean, I feel like this offense or this defense could definitely come back next season and like be really good.
The one really bad game I think we've had defense-wise was against the Vikings. We gave up 42. I remember that. It was an interesting game. And then even the Broncos beat us 38-6, but that was a bad offensive game. I don't know if you watched that. Kirk just wasn't.
No, Kirk had an awful game. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the defense has been all right. And like you said, I definitely think it's slept on, and I think it will get better next season, because, we have a lot of newer guys on the defensive side. So I think a big part of this team is kind of just next season, I think we'll be better on the offensive and defensive side, because we're getting a lot more experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think that the Atlanta Hawks have had a lot of ups, a lot of downs. Defense should look good for next season, but if Michael Penix doesn't take the step that we need him to take, it's going to be rough. I mean, just got to get the ball out to a lot more receivers. Bijan just has to keep playing well, and Kyle Pitts needs to stop dropping balls. But yeah, no, I definitely think that this is a bright team, a young team, a lot of good pieces. So I'm excited to watch them moving forward. But yeah, so I think that is a good place to end this segment. So let's just hop right into the Atlanta Hawks, because this is definitely where I can talk a lot more. I've watched a lot of games this season. I love players like Dyson Daniels, Trae Young, man, Clint Capella. These guys, this has been a fun team to watch. And from what I've noticed, I'm going to let you just take over here, but the one thing I want to say is this is the epitome of the gray team, because they have beaten teams like the Celtics, the Cavs, they've beaten great teams in the league, and they didn't lose to, what was it? I'm pretty sure it was the Wizards twice, right?
Yeah, we lost to the Wizards twice.
Yeah.
I think we
You
dropped a game to
Hornets.
Detroit. Yeah, I think we
Hey,
dropped. I think we dropped one to
baby.
Detroit.
They're a 500 team. I don't need but yeah, no. So like, give me your thoughts, man. How is the season going so far in your books?
I think the note that I wrote my first note was actually about exactly what you're talking about right now. I said that we're a good team merchant. Normally you always see the complaints about there's bad team merchants. They only feast on the below 500 teams. But for some reason, like you said, this season we're like an anomaly. Like we're only able to play good against the good teams. But I do think that issue comes that we're playing to the level of our opponents right now. They shoot threes, we'll shoot threes. They don't shoot threes, we won't shoot threes. They're playing good defense, we'll play good defense. They're just letting us score, we'll let them score, which is why you see so many of these high-scoring games that the Hawks play. That's been a consistent issue for the past 5 years is our defense. Like, Trae Young is known for really not being the greatest defensive player ever. That's why he's not considered in a lot of conversations of best guard. He's just not playing defense. Like, he'll give up on a lot of possessions that I've watched this year. But, while I say that, he's been playing a lot better defense this year if you watch the games. Like, stat-wise, I'm not sure if he's gotten better in any stats defense-wise, but just from the eye test, he's been a lot better on defense this year. So, yeah, I think that just it's really our defense that I think is killing us in these games against bad teams where we know that it's a bad team. They're below 500. They're not good. They're not going to make the playoffs. But we see that and we're like, oh, okay. Let us just not play as good defense and just start chucking the ball, and that just leads to us losing games that we shouldn't be losing. Like we could honestly be probably a 3. I'm not aware of the standings right now. I'm not sure exactly what games we could have won or lost, but I think we could be a 3 or 4 seed if we just close out some of these games against the bad teams. Because like you said, we're winning against the good teams. We beat Boston. We beat the Cavs twice and gave them their second and third loss. They still only have 4 or 5 losses. I'm not sure which one, but the Cavs are a great team this year, and we beat them twice back-to-back days. So I feel like we will get better as the season goes on that facet. We will start beating the teams we need to beat. But so far, yeah, it's been strange to watch.
I got you. Right now, you guys are sitting at currently the 7th seed, 18 and 17. So that is kind of something I do want to touch on. As you just said, getting better throughout the season. You had DeJounte Murray last year. Didn't really work out. You lose him in the offseason to the Pelicans. I can't remember if it was a trade or not. I think it was a trade.
Yeah, it was a trade. We got Dyson.
Right?
Yep.
But yeah, so currently 18 and 17, about halfway through the season. About, what is it, a month and a half, like February 8th or 9th is the trade deadline. Do you hope that this team makes some moves so they can become a playoff contender, or do you just want to let the young guys develop and whatever happens, happens? Because, you had 2021, Trae Young gets you guys to the Eastern Conference Finals, but then the last 3 years, you guys have been playing team knockout, and it kind of like, I don't know about you, but as me, I'm a Pistons fan, this is a Pistons podcast, I really want us to make a push for a trade this season. I want to watch us win this season. I am tired of losing. So, is that how you feel? Are you okay with another season of mediocrity if it means next season you're great?
Well, like you're saying, I have fan bias. I want to see us win now. I think for the organization, it might be better to wait. But I think desperately, I have 2 trades in mind that I've consistently thought of, not player-wise, but position-wise. We need a backup point guard really badly, like a sentient point guard is what I'm saying. We need someone that's able to lead the offense, because the biggest problem we're facing right now is that, maybe, like I said, I don't know any names because I can't really make up any packages right now that I can think of. I'll do some work on that later, but the biggest problem I think we're facing is that we'll have the first string in there and we'll be doing great, and then we sub everyone out and we have a backup point guard in there with even our normal offense, just a backup point guard and then our 4 normal players, and you can obviously tell that we're not passing as much. There's not assists being given out. We're just playing sloppy basketball. And I think I think we just need a backup point guard to hold down Trae's position while he's resting, because, he can't play every minute of every game. He's already injury prone himself, like playing as much as he is right now. So I think we just need a backup point guard. And then I think we just need to trade Clint Capella away. I'm done with the Clint Capella experiment that we've had. I haven't liked how he's played in his entire Hawks tenure, if you want me to be honest. He's put up numbers, I think he's averaging 9 or 10 rebounds this year, but I just don't like how he plays center, man. I think we need a more dominant center. And I know we have these players who do play center as well. I think Jalen is technically wrote down as a center or power forward, and he can slot in the center. But I don't know. I just don't like. I've always been on the train to trade Clint Capella. I think that's a normal Hawks fan opinion.
Okay, I got you. So I was actually curious when you were talking about the what you want to call it, the no backup point guard situation. And I'm looking at this. The only point guard on the roster is Trae Young. Everyone else is classed as a combo guard or a shooting guard. Wow. So yeah, you're not wrong. Then give me a situation here, and let's not go crazy. Don't go like Joel Embiid or Victor Wembanyama. Let's say you can make Clint Capella and 2 first-round picks the package. You can go get any center in the league. You make that trade. Who's it going to be? Don't make it too unrealistic, but you can get a little fun with it.
I wouldn't mind, Naz Reid wouldn't be bad in my opinion. Rudy Gobert wouldn't be bad.
Reid, okay.
Okay, so I think my thing with Naz Reid is that I think that he could be great if you put him in the right situation. Like he's gonna score for you, but he really doesn't grab many boards. And I think if you put him in the position to try and grab boards and kind of just get him on that train, I think he becomes a really good player because he does put up the points. He's averaging 12 points right now, but only 5 rebounds this year. Like I feel like for a center, you need more on that. And that's why I also gave out the option of Rudy, because Rudy's averaging 10 and 10, and I think that's on a Timberwolves team they've been like a 500 team as well this year, but I think they've been underperforming as a team, and I think Rudy would fit really well in our system.
No, I actually completely agree with. I think I'd go a little more Naz Reid just because I think Trae Young works a lot better with players who can space the ball. And obviously, Naz Reid is a lot better of a 3-point shooter than Clint Capella is. But no, I meant to say fair. My bad, apologies. But yeah, no, I definitely actually think that's a really interesting trade. Okay, I like that. Me personally, I think he could work really well with like a better lob threat, maybe like Nick Claxton from the Nets.
Oh,
that could be a really good package. Or maybe you go a little out there, a little different, like Beef Stew on the Pistons. Could be a very, very interesting person to put up with him. He's a really good floor spacer, great defensively, so it helps Trae Young out a little more. But you're not gonna get him because he's obviously a Pistons legend.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's I appreciate the insight, man. So what are your predictions for the end of the season? What's seeding? Do you think they can make a run? Kind of just how you feeling? If the season ended today, how far do you think you're making it in the playoffs as a 7 seed?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think honestly, I think if we were in the playoffs right now, I think we could make it to a conference final, because I think in the East, you're really only going against the Cavs are good this year too. But like I said, we've beaten the Cavs. If you look at the top 3 seeds, Cavs, Celtics, Knicks, those are, I think, the powerhouse right now. Obviously, Orlando is pretty good. Milwaukee's good. But those 3 are, the powerhouses right now. But we've played really good basketball against them. I think we could easily make an Eastern, like a conference final maybe. I don't know if we can make it to the finals just because of how inexperienced this team is, so many young players. But I think we can make it to a conference final right now if we were in the playoffs. We've been playing great basketball down the stretch.
I like the confidence. We are almost out of time for this segment, but I do have one final just general basketball question here before I lose you, and that is, how do you feel about the current state of the NBA? Because if you're on NBA Twitter, a lot of people are complaining about the ratings. Ratings are down. A lot of people aren't hitting the 3 balls, and in my opinion, I actually love this version of basketball. A lot of swing the rock, a lot of finding open looks. Yeah, they might be beyond the perimeter, but it's a lot better than just fade away two. And there's plenty of mid-range players like Cade Cunningham. Trae Young does it a lot where he gets to the basket, he gets under, a lot of reverses. Like, I definitely feel like the state of the NBA is not nearly as bad as people are making it out to be, but I wanted a second opinion. So what are your thoughts?
Honestly, I agree with you. I think that I feel like people complaining are honestly just looking for something to complain about. I know the ratings are down, but I'm saying that I think they're just complaining about how the game is played for the ratings down and not what's really bringing the ratings down. And I think that's just because
the refs.
The refs have been really bad this year. There's been a lot of bad moments, but yeah, I think my biggest reason for ratings being down in sports in general, because if you look at MLB too, their ratings are down. A lot of sports ratings are down. I think it's just because of how TV deals are nowadays. There's so many. You have to, if you wanted to watch every game this NBA season, I think I saw something, you need 6 or 7 services. That's crazy. You need League Pass for some, you need Bally Sports for the Hawks, and then you need ESPN, or you need so many different streaming services, and there's not just one place you can watch the games at. So I think half the time a lot of these fans are not really able to watch the games, especially in person. I don't even know if I want to get into that. I hate ticket prices nowadays. I think it's pushing away real fans of the team instead of just rich people looking to do something on a Saturday night. But that's my take there. I feel like tickets should not be that expensive. But yeah, I feel like the state of the NBA is. I don't mind it. Like, I feel like that'd be a hot take on Twitter. If I posted that, I'd get flamed on NBA Twitter. But I really don't mind it. I think that it's great that 3-pointers are being shot, but then there's so much spacing being created. And like you said, it's a lot of these people that love the old NBA more. But if you watch the old NBA, instead of 3-point misses, it's just mid-range misses. So
Yep,
I feel like
exactly.
you can't really complain about the 3-point misses when before it just wasn't a 3-pointer. It was just a long two. So yeah.
No, I mean, I completely agree with you, man. I think that no matter what's going to happen, you're going to have misses in the NBA. You're going to have bad possessions because there are definitely plenty of possessions where it's just like, why are you chucking up a 35-footer with 14 seconds left on the shot clock? Like, but that's going to happen in any game, in any sport, at any level. There's going to be bad plays. There's going to be games that are sloppy. And then when you have 82 games you got to play in a season, sometimes you're going to suck. And that's just how it is. But no, man. Hey, this again has been Caiden, our Atlanta Hawks expert. He's going to be having a podcast coming out super, super soon. There will be a link in the description. And if you have nothing else you want to say, I can let you go, and we'll finish out the rest of this podcast with the Pistons stuff for the diehard fans. You got anything before you want to get out of here?
Just thank you, and let's hope that the Falcons can somehow squeak in the playoffs.
All right, I got you, man. You have a wonderful night.
Yep, you too.
Hello, everybody. This is Future Ian here. Unfortunately, due to some personal events and college starting back up, this episode of the podcast got out about 2 weeks later than I wanted it to. So we're only going to have the Falcons and the Hawks portions. The Pistons at the time of recording was 17-18. Now they currently 21-20. So in the next 3 or 4 days, we're going to get a smaller Pistons episode out. And then we'll go back to the longer half-hour episodes. I just wanted to get this out before I got too crazy, too busy, and I apologize for the wait. Thank you guys all for listening, though. I hope you enjoyed our guest, Caiden, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.